What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Upper Tier podcast and the Women's Wrestling Recap Weekly. We are back this week. I am flying solo again. Emma is dealing with some more personal issues, and she has been run through the mill the last few weeks, to say the least. But we wish her the very best, and hopefully, she will be back with us very soon. I say it every week, another fantastic week in women's wrestling. We'll have a nice, short but sweet show today, hopefully. Just a few things to get through, and yeah, we'll be on our way then. To start off the week, Sol Ruka made her debut on Monday Night Raw, officially signing her Raw contract, and I am absolutely stoked for this run. Sol Ruka was my absolute favorite in NXT, and I am very excited to see what she can do on Raw. Obviously, confronting Becky Lynch, the women's intercontinental champion, who defeated AJ Lee at WrestleMania for the title. Becky has been a phenomenal champion, and now three-time women's intercontinental champion, three-time, I think, which is really, really cool. I'm hoping she gets another lengthy run with the title, but it looks at Backlash tomorrow night. Well, maybe not tomorrow night, but definitely in the near future, to say the least. We will get Sol Ruka versus Becky Lynch for the women's IC title, and I am very excited for that match. That is probably one of my dream matches at the moment. I think that I'm dying to see among a few other matches. Very excited to see her on Raw. Very excited for her run. Obviously, Becky accidentally punching Adam Pearce last night, or on Raw the other night, excuse me. Adam Pearce, poor Adam Pearce, has been run through the mill, and out of all things that could have happened, Becky Lynch punched him in the face. I love Becky, but come on, Becky, come on. Don't punch Adam Pearce. We like him. Everyone likes him. Or Pricky Pierce, I think, or Prickly Pierce, as Becky calls him. Overall, very excited for that match in the future, and I'm hoping we get a nice lengthy feud out of it. I feel like there's been such a difference because a lot of champions haven't been putting over young talent. We've had a few older champions and they haven't necessarily put over young talent. And I feel AJ Lee, who we will talk about in just a bit, didn't really do that with her IC run. I get what WWE wanted to do with giving her the storyline against Becky, leading from AJ's return, etc. And it was a brilliant storyline nonetheless. But I just think I probably would have preferred to see a younger talent, an up-and-coming talent in that spot. So it's nice to see this time around Becky is putting, younger talent over. She did it with Lyra Valkyria, and it looks like Sol Ruka is her next project, which I'm very excited about. Obviously, Sol Ruka having a little mishap and messing up her finisher, the Soul Snatcher, but she came back from it perfectly. So we have absolutely nothing to worry about. And I am very excited to see her on Raw. I hope she gets the Intercontinental title sometime this year for sure. I think she'd have a phenomenal run and overall just be a great champion. I've said it time and time again, she's a fantastic wrestler. So, I think she's probably one of the best in not just WWE's women's division, but women's wrestling in general. As of late. So I am very, very excited. Tuesday night, we got into a little kerfuffle, as they would say, or a scrap, as us Irish ones would say. Tatum Paxley, the women's North American champion, has all eyes on her title. Zarya, the newest addition to the roster, Lizzie, Rain, and Nikita Lyons, all eyeing up the women's North American title. And I've actually very enjoyed having this title around. When it was introduced, I was very excited for it. And I feel like it went downhill for just a small bit. But it's nice to see the fact that WWE are putting in a lot of effort now with the title. And I think Shawn Michaels was one of the best things to ever happen to NXT. I think he takes such care of the women's division and really knows how to run it and knows what people want. And that's essentially what you want, is that someone who knows what they're doing and someone who is good with the women. And he treats all the women like his own daughters. And it's so nice. I'm sure everyone's kind of seen the TikToks now of Shawn Michaels and the NXT women's division. They're fantastic. If you ever get a chance to look on TikTok at Shawn Michaels TikToks, they're fantastic. They really are. He's very with the times. And if you don't like that, you know what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it. Obviously, it looks like Zarya was standing tall at the very end of this. Could she be the new NXT Women's North American Champion? We'll find out very soon, hopefully. I think NXT has a show next month or the month after, so we could find out. Maybe we'll have a new champion. Obviously, with Lizzie Rain being new to the roster, I think we should just give it a little bit longer. She's only on her second week, so I feel like we should give her a little bit longer before we give her a title. But if they're going to give her a title, do what they did with Jey Uso. Push them to the moon. Push her to the moon, seriously. Because if anyone's seen her indie work, she is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, Nikita Lyons is back on NXT now, by the looks of things. She had been kind of stuck on Evolve for the past few months. And it's not like that's a downgrade or anything. Evolve is also a brilliant brand. And Wendy Chu has rebranded herself and became the new Evolve Women's Champion, which is pretty amazing. So if you haven't checked out Evolve, do head over and check out. But Nikita Lyons is back on NXT now, and could she finally get a title? She's been in NXT for 3-4 years now, so she's getting to that kind of veteran status. A lot of people have, wanted her to be moved up to SmackDown, and I would absolutely love to see that. But I think it should be a case of, if they're going to move her to SmackDown, at least give her a title before she moves up from NXT. And hopefully that'll be the Women's North American title. But it's kind of one of those predicaments where I want all four of these women to win. I love Tatum as champion. I think she's fantastic. She's had a brilliant reign so far, considering how dirty she was done with her NXT women's title reign. And it's quite sad and kind of forgettable. So I think that they're really trying to make up for that with the Women's North American title, which I actually really appreciate. So look, overall, I'd like to see Zarya, Lizzie Rain, and Nikita Lyons win the title. But obviously we can only have one champion, so who that will be, only the future knows. Folks, we've got some sad news here. Obviously we found out 2 weeks ago at this point, that AJ Lee is gone from WWE. Not officially, but they currently have absolutely zero creative plans for her, which I think was so stupid in WWE's place, because you're bringing back such a star and such a staple of the women's division and not having plans for her. Just saying, we're going to put her in this feud with Becky Lynch all the way up to WrestleMania, have her drop the title, and that's it. That's as far as you guys have planned, which to be honest, I just think it's pure lazy, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's laziness down to the backbone. It really is. It's said time and time again, the star that AJ Lee is. She looks $1 million. She's an absolute staple of the women's division, and you have zero plans for her. Now, I get this whole thing with, pushing up and coming talent more, but you'd think they kind of make a bit of an exception and put a bit of effort in for the likes of AJ Lee. but I really think it was just lazy on WWE's side. And obviously, they had said that they probably won't have any plans or creative plans until WrestleMania, SummerSlam, which is hopefully when we will see her next. But as of now, it was announced last night, not by WWE, just by different wrestling news outlets, that she's gone from WWE, that she will not be back for a while, and there is no immediate plans to bring her back. I think it's a real slap in the face for AJ Lee fans because it was such a big deal when she was brought back, generated millions of views across all social medias. Oh my God, AJ Lee's back. And she's gone just like that. What was the point of it? Seriously, what was the point of it? Absolute lazy booking, a slap in the face to all fans, and I think it's absolute, excuse my language, bullshit. You bring one of your biggest wrestlers back and you don't have any plans for her? Screw you. Screw you. That's all I'm going to say. Because I'm a big AJ Lee fan. I really am. So I just think it's absolute laziness on WWE's part. But to cool myself down now, we've got some good news, folks. Li Ying Lee is officially a 2-time Knockouts champion. Yes, folks, she brought the title home to TNA last night after defeating NXT's Ariana Grace for the title and becoming a 2-time champion, which I think is absolutely amazing. I think that her run in WWE was not only cut short, but she was very underutilized, and I'm glad that TNA really see the potential and that potential and status and how she holds herself up to be able to carry the women's division, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And I am more than happy for her. I think she 1000% deserves it. I'm presuming this is going to lead back to a Xia Li. That was her own name. Ooh, Xia Brookside feud. Sorry, excuse me. Now I'm like Bren this week, folks. Me and Bren are getting like each other. I think I've been listening to him too much, folks. But don't tell him that. Anyway, I presume it will lead to that feud, and I would not be mad at it. Now, a lot of fans are very mad over this for the fact they feel that it should never have been taken off her in the first place, and that, the whole reason WWE or the whole reason Danny Luna left TNA was because, that TNA were, really sticking the title on NXT women and not their own division, in the space of just a few months, 3 NXT wrestlers have held the women's title for TNA, that being Jacy Jayne, Kelani Jordan, and Ariana Grace. And it's good and bad for the fact that, yes, you're getting more promotion for the title, you're getting more eyes, more views on the title. But what is it really doing? I get you're bringing it over to the bigger brand, and as I said, more eyes, more views. But there's no point putting it on different company wrestlers if that means you can't push your wrestlers then. Because when the title was on Ariana Grace, she was on NXT more than she was on TNA. Let's be real here. She was on NXT nearly every week, and she wasn't wrestling. No. She was standing in the back behind her boyfriend, which I think is a bit shit, because then you're leaving TNA in such a grave. You're really digging a grave for them, for the fact that you can't put any of the women in good storylines, title storylines, world championship storylines. You can just put them in these little feuds until WWE kind of decide, we don't really want her as champion anymore will have her drop the title back to one of your wrestlers, which I think is also a bit of a slap in the face, you know. But look, I'm happy the title's back in TNA. Hopefully, this gives the TNA wrestlers more of a push. And if I'm being honest, and I hope a lot of people agree with me, I really, really, really hope we don't see any more TNA titles on NXT wrestlers for a while. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely loving the partnership that NXT and TNA have, but I just think keep your titles on your brand. I get if, let's say, you want to have Leon Slater, the current X Division champion, go after, you know, let's say Miles Bourne and the NXT North American champion and get a feud going there. I'm all for it, but I just think keep your titles on your brand. A lot of wrestling companies struggle with that problem today, and over the past few years, few months, however long it may be. And I just don't think it benefits anyone, really. Yeah, you might get more views, more eyes, but other than that, you're not really getting anything out of it. So look, I'm more than happy the title is back in TNA, to say the least. I didn't really enjoy Ariana Grace's reign. I think she didn't do anything. As I said, you know, she spent her whole time in NXT standing behind her boyfriend instead of wrestling and defending the title. Yeah, she defended it once or twice. But I actually think that's quite poor for a world title reign, you know, when not only you're a wrestler of one division, but you're carrying another company's division as well. I think it's really important that you try your best to live up to that. And obviously, that's not her fault. It's obviously both companies' faults. But I just think the title shouldn't have been put on her in the first place. That's just my opinion. I think she's fantastic. I think her character's fantastic. I just don't think the title should have been put on her in the first place. So yeah, look, I feel like if we keep the titles to the specific brand, then that will be a lot better and will benefit the companies a lot more. Folks, that is it for the show this week. I went off on a few little rants, a few little tangents, but that's all to be expected, you know. That is the Upper Tier Podcast, folks. Just rants. Folks, Backlash is tomorrow night. We will see Io and Asuka face off in a singles match. No doubt an absolute banger of a match it will be. We are also doing a watch along for Backlash tomorrow night at 11 o'clock. Folks, tune into that watch along. You can watch with us and have some crack and listen to more of our rants, because you don't hear enough of it on our weekly shows. Emma, if you are watching, you are absolutely missed. We hope to see you again. Folks, do go back and look on the channel. We are pumping out videos left, right, and center for your entertainment. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe. And that is your Women's Wrestling Recap Weekly. And also, are you ready for this? It is your chef's kiss for the week.